Good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Fashion with me, Jo Elvin.
And me, Amanda Wakeley.
And tonight we are, again, because we just can't help ourselves, we're off to Gay Paris. We are off to see, I'm so Australian, I can't even say it, haute couture.
The couture
Couture
week,
shows, yes.
which actually slightly caught me out this time because it's been moved a little bit earlier.
Why do you think that is?
So, just to give the production more of a chance to get these exquisite garments made for the autumn. Because unlike ready to wear, couture is much closer, shown much closer to the season. So in June, we are looking at autumn winter 24. Whereas the ready to wear we looked at in February and March. So they have much longer lead times.
And now you know. I'm always a bit confused with couture because I suppose my old school definition of it is, in layman's terms, really a house just really showing off what they can do, the intricacy. It's about garments that have possibly taken hours upon hours upon hours and handmade and like beading and all sorts of things. Yet some of this, I didn't feel it to me, it had more ready to wear level of detail and effort. Am I wrong?
I think you're absolutely right. For me, couture is like the Formula One of the car industry, which it's this laboratory of ideas that then get watered down and diffused into commercial ideas. And so couture is the opportunity for these amazing design houses to really show off and also to be a little bit dynamic about their ideas. And we have had some very extreme ideas this couture week, some of which we will be showing you.
Yes. Now, the other question I have for you about couture as a fashion designer, I could be wrong about this, my understanding is also that it's very much aimed at that core loyal customer, because they're generally sort of like one-off, or at least things that take a long time to make. So this is aimed at people who they're shoppers, really.
They are, and there are some houses that actually put quite a commercial couture collection down the runway. Elisab being one, Chanel actually this season being another, Giorgio Armani Privé another. That they know their customers so well. They don't over explore the idea, like, for example, the designers Victor and Rolf did this season, where they went to these extreme heights of these crazy proportions and totally unwearable ideas. It was cartoonish. But there are other brands or designers that choose to entertain and illustrate to their loyal customers who are sitting there in the front row and with their notepads out and making orders
on the phone to their nervous bank managers. Where should we start?
Well, I would love to start at my favorite, which is Christian Dior. Maria Grazia Chiuri knows women back to front, and she is just she triumphs feminism. And I love the fact that she's showing a couture show in Paris, inspired by Olympians and sport at a time when we've got the Paris Olympics. And the fact that it was only a couple of 100 years ago that women were allowed to participate in sport. Isn't that shocking?
Is that probably more the reason why they moved it, because of the Olympics?
They moved
the shows.
Oh, you're dead right.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Need her in my life.
The thing is, though, I just so that took me a minute.
But yeah. I just feel that this show, although to me not traditional couture, I have to be honest, she was experimenting with a lot of jerseys, for example, but you could really, there's proper gladiatorial spirit here.
I just think all these white looks are utterly heavenly.
They remind me, there's an element of Madame Grey in there, sorry, Maria Grazia, but just beautiful draping. They remind me of beautiful Greek sculptures.
I want look 10 in my wardrobe yesterday. It's my favorite thing. That is
very, very you. Oh. And I was always inspired by sportswear, and I love the way that Maria Grazia has mixed in look 2. She's mixed these beautiful embellishment, but in a very sporty muscle cut tank under this
Yep.
draped. It looks like jersey, and then with this sort of gladiatorial belt and the strappy flats.
And incredible sandals. Now, look 16, I think that these amazing jeans you're wearing right now, I'd love to wear that bodysuit with those, and I'd be out.
I would be much happier to wear that as a tank top rather than a bodysuit. Whoever thought of bodysuits, I know probably Donna Karen, and at times they are great because they tuck you in, but there's a whole lot of faff, isn't it?
Yeah, but look at it though.
It is glorious.
It's amazing.
It is absolutely glorious.
But I'm with you. I see this more as like a ready to wear looking collection. But I'm not complaining about it because I just think it's exquisite.
It is. And I think there's some very, very wearable looks. Look, 15, you've got this beautiful oversized jacket with these lovely soft drape pants, and then with the over drape on them. They just
Do you think that's detachable, that apron detail?
I don't think so.
I love it.
Yeah, really, really gorgeous. And then when we go later into the show, then I think you start to see more of that couture detailing. Look, 43, that just exquisite craftsmanship and beading and just all of that embellishment. I pulled out look 48 because that feels quite ready to wear to me. And yet when you zoom in on it, you just know that there's a whole lot of corsetry under that, and literally as the foundation of all of that draping. And then look 55 to me, just those gold feathers. I mean, she's like a little goddess.
We have this real sort of Game of Thrones detail coming in. There's a Schiaparelli show, which I know we're going to come to, which has that kind of thing as well. There's the feathers and that beautiful detail, but done in a very kind of like warrior-like way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do come back to the word gladiator for this, because it's just sort of strong, female, gorgeous gladiators. So I know she was criticized for this being a little bit ready to wear looking, but I have to say, I think the lines between ready to wear and couture are now getting very, very blurred. And
I dare say that once they get the bottom line in from the customer sales from that, no one will be complaining. Yeah,
because she's a phenomenally successful, commercially successful designer.
Let's look at this nut job alignment now. Balenciaga.
Now we're talking about the lines between theatre and ready to wear and upcycling.
Look, this is going to stay with me for a while, this show. Now, obviously, most of you, I would wager, watching this now would be like, what the bejesus are Amanda and Joe on about? We're here to discuss. What I love about it, this to me is another element of what I think couture represents. Is like, are 99% of us going to wear this? No. But what I'm seeing there is elements of a new silhouette, which I think we will recalibrate our heads within the next 12 months. You mark my words, and you will start to see some of these shapes in more subtle ways come into High Street and other designers.
I think you're absolutely right. And there's two things that I'd say there. One thing about couture is very much to drive brand awareness. Look at us. We aren't currently talking about Balenciaga. It is not necessarily to drive sales of the couture pieces, although obviously any couture house wants that to happen. But my goodness, the sneakers, the bags, the t-shirts, the sport pants are going to fly because of that sort of bump of awareness. The second thing I want to mention is, although this is mad and full of sort of upcycled ideas and this sort of metamorphosis between traditional Balenciaga and then, you know, using these butterfly face masks, which is really saying very much this is the metamorphosis of the brand. That's how I've read it. But there are elements of traditional Balenciaga, and I love that. And you know, when you look at that hat in look 2, that then gets converted into the t-shirts on the head, on the hat in look 3 and beyond, the length of the sleeves, the fact that a lot of the sleeves, even in the work shirt of look 12, they have that Balenciaga tucking
Yep.
at the elbow to just shorten the sleeve and just give it that very typical, beautiful Balenciaga shape. So I think he's really been playing with the Balenciaga codes here. Yeah, playing to an extreme, but I think there's some very, very interesting proportions going on here.
I don't know why, but it really reminds me of a lot of the Japanese anime visuals that my daughter loves watching. I just love
absolutely
the
right.
theatrics of it. And dare I say, it's nice that there's so many clothes here, because a lot of people in that front row at Balenciaga were basically naked.
Can we just talk about that at the moment?
Yeah.
Katy Perry arrived in what looked like a fur coat. Fur coat, no knickers.
I mean,
Yeah,
are we just
seriously.
too old? What's going on, Katie?
She had tights that just barely skimmed her pubic
If I
bone,
was that rich, I would wear a lot of clothes.
that were just
Yeah.
laddered. Yeah. I mean, was it?
I mean, again,
I've got a great body. Here it is.
Yeah,
Have a
again,
look.
we're talking about it. And fair dues, they're very nice boobs. They're nice.
And that,
But it's a public street.
that six pack was impressive,
Yeah,
Katie.
Yeah.
Very impressive. But yeah, it felt very try hard. It really did.
I wasn't sure.
And yet there were others in the audience. Ava Herzegova looked sublime.
Nicole Kidman and her lookalike daughter.
Yep.
Yep. Mm.
So the drama that is created by couture is great fun to watch. The only thing that slightly saddens me as I was sort of doing my research on this is everyone is just living their lives through their phones. And for me, I call me old-fashioned, whatever happened with
Call me old-fashioned.
immersing yourself in the moment?
I think it's really sad, but I think it's so transactional, that front row, isn't it? And
transactional.
Everybody who is there because the brand wants that person, that Katy Perry, that Nicole Kidman. Well, good luck with Nicole Kidman; she doesn't really do Instagram, but they want them to be amplifying it to their audience. Yeah. So I guess even if you do want to live in the moment, you might feel obligated to be.
Yeah. Now, you were talking earlier about how the moment in the ready-to-wear scene when bloggers and street style artists literally took over the front row. And I remember it, but tell me about it.
Oh, we were so pissy about it. Oh, I was a magazine editor at the time, and it was the first show I really remember it being a thing was Dolce & Gabbana one season, where it was always hard for poor old Glamour to get that front row seat anyway. And then
because you were considered not cool enough.
Yeah, we in fashion circles, the high-selling magazines, they're a bit grubby,
it was just a bit too commercial.
Yes, so we used to come up against that a lot of the time. Never mind that you'll sell more handbags if you're in our magazine, but hey, that's a fight for another day. But there was this one year where suddenly they just completely wiped away pretty much half of the press seats for traditional media and gave them to who were then in the first generation. Yeah, Brian Boy, Tabby Gevinson, people like that, the first generation of bloggers. And, we'd all been sort of like, oh, it's a flash in the pan. They're not real journalists. And all of a sudden there they were looking at us from across the runway. We were like, oh, dear.
Was it Tabby or Brian Boy sitting next to Anna Wintour?
I think it was Brian Boy.
And suddenly
and he's still going strong, Brian Boy.
That front row had been completely transformed.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, God, those poor journos and editors that have worked their way up from row 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1.
It's a different world.
And then bam.
It's a different world. It was a revolution.
Overnight.
And a lot of those people are still around. I think Brian Boy, I've seemed to see him at everything. So, yeah.
Well, longevity.
Good Lord.
Just coming back to Balenciaga for a moment. Particular favourite look?
I'm going to go with look 2 because I can see myself getting to grips with the shape of those trousers. I really can.
I have to say that little puffer,
it's great,
jacket is really uber chic. I loved his nod to upcycling and the fact that there's just too much stuff in the world, which I bang on about. And I have to say, I loved look 16. I know it's a little Morticia, but just the whole sort of padded leather jacket and that fantastic, it's probably, I hate to say it, a pleather, which I do loathe.
But upcycled.
Skirt. But it does, you know, let's hope it's dead stock fabric and it just does.
Yeah.
I think the whole silhouette of that is super, super chic. I put in look 14 because apparently this took hundreds of hours and it is made out of dyed hair.
Cookie Monster.
Yes, it probably is, isn't it? With the blue butterfly.
Yeah.
And I thought look 30 was quite fun because it's just masses and masses of Balenciaga belts and
That's cool.
that is brilliantly crafted.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
great. Yeah.
I know that looks mad, but actually to do that and make it look as effortless as it does is a real skill. And then look 39, which was the finale look. Now, Balenciaga was known for love of Gazzara and organza. And so here Dema has just done 47 meters of nylon organza and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. And apparently that was only designed to be worn once. So I would imagine that was wrapped backstage and
3 days later, that poor model is still trying to get out of it.
she's been cut
Yeah,
out of it.
Yeah.
Moving on to my Schiaparelli.
Favorite Schiaparelli. Now, again, this is the kind of thing I look forward to seeing from a couture show.
Yeah.
Drama, over the top theatrics, new ideas, real glamour. It's all there.
Absolutely. And I think Daniel Roseberry for Schiaparelli is doing the most phenomenal job. I mean, that look one, these golden feathers, it's absolute. And just the whole proportion of sort of very extended shoulders, but done in a very gracious way.
We're seeing a lot of crazy shoulders. But here, I love it. I really love it. And I love look 2.
Yep.
I just think, I actually had a Prada dress like that had sort of like metallic bits here, and it dug a big graze in my skin that lasted for about a week.
Things we will do for fashion.
I was happy though. I loved it.
The things we'll do for fashion.
Yeah.
Look 3, absolutely.
What is that
exquisite
material? Is that shearling or?
I think that is embellished satin.
It's incredible.
It is. It's really. I mean, the skill of it is absolutely sensational. Look at 6. You've got this beautifully placed embellishment. Again, just very, very skillful. And look, 18 reminded me actually of vintage Alaya.
Yes.
You know, all of those bands. I mean, it's absolute. The craftsmanship in that is absolutely exquisite. And I think that navy blue color is just gorgeous.
And do you think that that's a really uncomfortable waist to wear, or is the exaggerated pelmet where you get that difference in definition, or is that person just corseted in within an
No, I think that's a proper corsetry.
Yeah.
But I think what they've done is they've padded out the hips, so you get that more extreme silhouette.
That might be the first pair of full-length evening gloves I've ever really liked as well.
They're rather gorgeous, aren't they? Just beautiful, sheer, sparkly. I loved look 21.
It's pretty crazy, but I love it.
Yeah.
What are those?
Well, it looks like giant domes, metal domes that have been just beautifully placed. You can't see a seam in that dress.
But can you imagine how heavy that is to walk around in?
Well, it might not be that heavy because those domes could be, they'll be hollow.
Yeah.
But it probably clinks and clanks. I wouldn't think it's that comfortable to sit in.
Amanda doesn't like it when I say things like this, but I haven't seen one look yet that you could easily go to the loo in, like in any of these collections.
I think they'd be quite challenging.
Yeah. You'd have to, like, if you're wearing couture, you're also not eating or drinking for 3 days before you put it on.
Or you're taking someone with you to the loo. Oh, let's even go there.
I'm not going to say who, but I had to help a celebrity go to the loo once because she couldn't. No, I can't because she couldn't sit down in the dress, so I had to unzip it and be there. And
That's a story for your book.
Let's have a competition to see if you can guess who it was.
What year?
No, I'm not telling you. Yeah.
Look, 26.
Amazing. But can you walk in it?
Yes,
I'm such a boring realist, aren't I?
No, you can. I reckon you can. I think the way that bow is placed, absolutely exquisite, but you've got room to shuffle along.
Okay.
Um,
And go shoplifting.
and go shoplifting. Yes,
Down there.
plenty of places to hide your shoplifting.
Yeah.
But we are seeing a lot of these long gloves in many of the collections.
I think these are absolutely gorgeous, actually.
And I think for women of a certain age, she says with feeling, they're actually rather gorgeous because you get that lovely long arm.
But they don't have things spilling over the top, no?
Ooh, no.
I can imagine that happening to me.
No, stop
But anyway,
it.
yeah.
And then my final choice here was look, a 31.
I feel like I can see Nicole Kidman in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that the cutting on that is absolutely exquisite. The way that that boning opens out into those petals
Beautiful.
is absolutely exquisite.
In a weird way, that really reminds me of my wedding dress. It was sort of like cream and it had sort of like black embellishment. Yeah.
Okay, next
But
week
I didn't
we'll
for
have
couture.
a look at that. We'll do a critique of Jo's wedding dress.
No, don't. It was a different time. It was style at the time. Yeah.
Now, moving on to Tom Brown, an American designer. I just loved his exploration of tailoring. He's known to be the most brilliant tailor. And so we're opening here with look one. Now, usually look one is your opening statement about your show. What is your viewer going to expect the story to build from? And so this is very extreme. It's like these giant oversized tailoring pieces, all layered, but all in calicos and interlining, and it's just very, very clever and very visionary.
It sort of had a real, for me, like through the looking glass feel, like that, almost like whether it's that or Hans Christian Andersen, sort of like this oversized, these like childlike embellishments of the big bags that look like lollipops and things like that. And I just thought it was, you know, a really great fantasy, actually.
I totally agree. And the craftsmanship in this is, I mean, talking couture craftsmanship is absolutely extraordinary. And each one of the models has either on their head or in their hand an embroidery frame. And on that embroidery frame is an element of part of what their look is, which I just thought was a beautiful sort of nod to craftsmanship again. Look 10, I thought, was just the way he has gone from heavy but extraordinary embellishment into this just gauze,
and
it's
layers
and layers of it.
Done so fluidly, isn't it? It's like it just melts.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And sort of the asymmetry in it, it just is exquisite. Absolutely exquisite. And I think his color palette, because of all of these calicos.
I was just about to say, it's like making me want to just be that sort of like that luxe neutral woman.
And yet sort of uber luxe, and yet it's all calico and linens and sort of very unprecious fabrications, but just so beautifully worked and reworked. And this theme of tailoring and deconstructing it in look 15 here, literally turned it all inside out, and you've got the shoulder pads very visible, but it's just exquisitely done.
Gorgeous. Bravo.
Looks 19 was on both of our selections.
Yes, I just love all the juxtapositions of the different fabrics. I actually love how oversized the tailoring is, the jacket on this. And let's hear it for women wearing ties. I don't think that women wear enough ties.
Don't you?
No, I think they're really cool.
Do you wear a tie?
Sometimes, yeah.
It's funny. I think it's school uniform that's sort of haunting.
Oh, okay,
me.
yeah. See, well, I didn't go to a posh enough school to wear a tie,
Yeah,
so now I'm quite happy to do it. Yeah.
I can't sort of go back to the tie thing. Plus, I always feel a bit butch wearing a tie. I don't know why.
You could never look butch.
And yet, I love seeing it on other women.
You could never look butch. I could.
Really?
I've got short hair.
Okay, next time you see me, I'll be in a tie.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Look 30.
It's just wall-to-wall exquisiteness, polish, detail. You just know that, you know, that's going to be an investment piece that you'll wear forever.
Isn't it interesting that in Paris Haute Couture Week, you know, with the whole, you know, it's the home of couture, and we're loving an American's designer, American as a
Well,
designer.
yes, I know, but probably he's there because of his craft, and he understands that it's the home of that kind of artisan skill. And
I just love the fact
Yeah.
that he's the one that's really, really ringing the bell for craftsmanship.
yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Karl Lagerfeld for years was like the
Poster boy.
the king of
Yeah.
Paris fashion, and he's German. So
Yeah. True.
Mm.
I think what Tom Brown's done here with all the embellishments, everything is asymmetric, everything is beautifully placed, and just flawlessly placed.
But
God,
in
can't
but
get my
but, but
tongue
in
around
but in
that.
off ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just feels very right.
I'm loving this on look 32 of even the inseam labels
Yep.
all visible. It's really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just very, very clever.
Yeah.
And then, carrying the beading frame almost as though it was the old numbers that in the 50s the models used to carry them.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Their model numbers.
Well, they did that at Balenciaga as well, but it didn't look quite so classic. But, yeah.
No. Moving on to Jean-Paul Gaultier. This has been guest designed by Nicolas de Felice.
Okay.
And so Gaultier, for the last God knows how many years, has been having guest designers. The brand codes of Gaultier are so strong. If we think back to Madonna in her conical
Indeed,
bra,
yes.
I mean, it's so iconic. And then that transferred onto the packaging of his very, very successful fragrance. So he has completely and utterly sort of owned corseting, hasn't he?
But looks like look 12, that really sleek jumpsuit. To me, that's a bit Courrèges.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't see much of that sort of like Gaultier DNA in some of these. Perhaps look 19, obviously, with that really visible sort of like transparent corsetry. But what do you think?
I think so. I mean, I think I read the show notes, and it was all about the sort of unveiling of the woman. So starting out with these sort of very veiled, covered looks, then unveiling, and so yes, look 19. You know, just exquisite corsetry, and then with that very sheer mesh over it, going back to the roots of all of Gaultier's mesh pieces, just brilliant. And I think what I love too is the real play of hook and eyes.
Yeah.
And so you can see that in look 26, and you just see that slither of flesh.
It's really clever. I love look 29, actually.
I love that.
I love how, I wish I could think of a more glamorous word, but like how sturdy that corset looks through the middle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then you've got my love of a satin slip dress that's just sort of suspended.
Very much like the blush you wore to Ascot. Maybe you'll do a corset next time.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
And then look 32, I thought was absolutely brilliant. This is something like 40,000 individual hooks and eyes all sewn together to create this very simple but very, very clever sheath.
That's amazing,
yeah.
Isn't it?
So I think what I'm loving about some of these couture looks is the message that is then very simply delivered. You know, that's a very clean, sort of nothing of a slash neck, long sleeved, long sheath.
Yet painstaking accuracy and precision and real beauty.
Yep. Now,
I was bored with Chanel.
I was bored with Chanel's. And interestingly enough, they
seem to be going through something at the moment.
Well, they are, because their creative director, who took over from Karl Lagerfeld, Virginie Viard, left the house 3 weeks ago. Nobody really fully understands the story behind that. I can only assume that either she'd had enough, or Chanel had enough of her, or sales of the ready-to-wear were not being driven. We'll never know, probably. But I thought it was quite interesting that They said in the show notes that this was delivered by the Fashion Creative Studio, not by Vergeny. So Chanel's a classic one in this era, not the Carl era, of the couture being very much for the customer sitting in the audience.
Yes, and so that's why, I mean, I slightly lost patience with Amanda. It was just another tweed suit, another tweed suit, another tweed suit, and I just thought it's not couture.
I agree. And that's why I pulled out these two looks, which I thought were rather beautiful, I have to say. This exquisite taffeta cape in look 23 with the big bow in the hair. I thought it was just a very dramatic, beautiful look.
But it is beautiful, but you say that they are the quintessential house where their customer is sitting front row for couture. Their customer at that level is an average of 55 years old. So what's going on here? Sorry.
It's a show. It's a show.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry to be boring.
Yeah, no, but you question. But if the clothes are very commercial, then I think you can really play with the hair, the makeup, and the headpiece.
This is quite radical. Look, 36 for them. That sort of like almost looks like vinyl to me. What is it?
I exactly why I put it in, because I thought actually the silhouette of that is really beautiful, and I thought someone's getting creative there.
Someone slipped one through.
Yeah, someone slipped one through.
Yeah.
Elie Saab is another one who really, really knows his customer. And I just pulled out these three looks because to me they were less Elie Saab, more making a statement. But I loved all three of these. Look one with not an ounce of embellishment on it. But
that's really stunning.
Exquisitely cut with these opera gloves. I just thought, okay, that's a lovely, lovely statement. I mean, what I was talking about, the opening of the show and how the rest of the show will look, well, actually then he went into a plethora of beading and feathers and all the rest of it, which is very true to his house codes and very beautiful. And you can see them walking straight off the catwalk into weddings and bar mitzvahs and all the rest of it. I loved that he had done a few exquisite embellished kimonos, and I just think that is a forever piece, isn't it?
It is so glamorous. Look 35. You can
on
just
a man
wear that,
or a woman,
and you can wear it on its own.
Yeah.
Look, just tied really sort of like glamorously. I would swan off to any event in that.
No, I thought absolutely exquisite. Not what I expected, but yet, but absolutely believable, exquisite. Again, with that lovely asymmetric embroidery, which I think is just...
It's gorgeous. I can see you in this one.
Oh my God, 20 years ago, please.
No, seriously. Look 46. You'd look great in that.
You're very kind. I love you for that. But I'm
not kind.
I thought this almost felt like it had come from a different studio.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
Very modern looking, very effortless. All of that beautiful embellishment.
I'd love to see the back, because that's theirs, not part of some big massive train, is it?
No,
Is that
I
look
think
behind it?
that's look 49, 47, sorry.
Yeah.
But yes, I think that's very believable, but not what I was expecting as part of this show. But I thought they deserved a nod.
But that look one, it really is masterful, isn't it?
It's
just like mwah. So that was your whistle-stop tour of Paris Couture.
Now, admittedly, we have left off some designers, but those were our favourites. Those were the ones that we felt warranted comment.
And you've got a life to get on, and you've got a lot to cram in before next week's exciting installment of Friday Night Fashion, right? We're thinking of you.
We are thinking of you and your precious Friday night. But we are loving your comments. Thank you. And thank you for watching.
Yes, please do like and subscribe. It helps us to get the word out and make more Friday Night Fashion. But until then, we'll see you next time.